In Iraq's wide desert area, where the blistering sun painted the landscape with orange and gold hues, a young man called Sergeant James Anderson set out on a mission that would forever shape his life. James stood erect, filled with steadfast determination and an unbreakable sense of patriotism, ready to do his responsibility of safeguarding his country and upholding the cherished values of freedom. He had no idea that the route he had chosen would lead him to an unthinkable darkness that would forever be seared in his memory. James and his fellow soldiers were assigned to an isolated outpost tucked within the war-torn region, and they found themselves navigating a rough and brutal landscape. The burning heat beat down on them relentlessly, while the continual tension in the air warned of the perils lying nearby. Despite the difficulties they endured, these brave men forged an unshakable relationship. They evolved into a close-knit fraternity, relying on one another not only for physical protection, but also for the solace and support that can only come from those who fully understand the weight of their shared suffering. A faint anxiety penetrated their minds beneath the mask of bravado and friendliness. It seemed as if an unseen phantom stalked the dry lands, its presence ever present, but impenetrable. When the laughter and banter died down, there was a lingering heaviness in the air, giving birth to whispered inquiries and aimless anxieties. The breezes carried uncanny whispers that sparked uneasiness within James's heart as the nights fell upon the outpost, shrouding it in inky blackness. Shadows flickered around the rim of his vision, their enigmatic figures appearing and dissipating in the flash of an eye. The desert's very essence seemed to mock him, evoking phantoms from the depths of his imagination. The border between reality and the ethereal began to fade gradually. As the haunting words became louder and echoed through the hallways of his mind, James began to doubt his sanity. Faces of fallen companions emerged in his nightmares, their expressions carved with agony and sadness. The weight of their presence pressed against his soul, compelling him to seek the truth buried within the depths of his desert. In the dead of the night, James set out on a perilous journey, digging into the lost annals of the region's history. Tales of battles waged and lives shattered unfolded in front of him like worn parchments. The stories told of sacrifices made and grief that marred the ground on which he stood. The phantom hands of the ghost of the past reached out to him, seeking redemption and release. What began as a voyage inspired by curiosity evolved into a perilous tumble into the abyss. The once motivating tone had been overtaken by an uncanny dread that clung to every syllable as if the darkness itself had seeped into the story. The whispers, which had formerly carried only a touch of mystery, now carried bone-chilling terror, paralyzing James. Sergeant James Anderson was about to encounter a dangerous reality that had been kept hidden for far too long in this unfolding story. The outpost relaxed into an uncomfortable calm in the starry night, the flickering lights and distant noises of conflict taking on a surreal feel. Sergeant James Anderson was on guard duty alone, his senses heightened as he patrolled the perimeter. There was an unnerving chill in the air, a premonition that crawled beneath his skin and agitated him. James's gaze was pulled into a decaying building in the distance as he studied the gloomy horizon. It stood alone like a sentinel, cloaked in mystery and calling to him with an unsettling fascination. His instincts battled within him, caution versus curiosity, but an unquenchable thirst for answers urged him to move closer. He approached the deteriorating edifice with each deliberate step, his boots muffled by the shifting desert sands. Its walls, scarred by numerous battles, murmured secrets of the past, secrets that now beckoned to him. The weight of the unknown crushed against his chest, yet he pushed on, fueled by unwavering determination. The air became heavy and stifling the instant James passed the barrier, wrapping around him like a suffocating embrace. The darkness within appeared to assume physical shape, pressing against his senses and distorting his eyesight. The enveloping silence was broken by faint whispers and distant echoes of invisible persons. It was as though the walls themselves were holding the pained souls of the fallen, their agonizing cries echoing through the lonely corridors. James pushed farther into the abandoned building, unafraid of the suffocating darkness. His flashlight emitted quivering beams of light, illuminating faded photographs and personal things strewn about, vestiges of lives broken by war's unrelenting ravages. Each artifact he unearthed conveyed a story of love and grief, of unmet hopes. Haunted faces looked back at him from yellowed images, their expressions carved with terror and resignation. The weight of the past fell like an iron shroud on James at that moment. He became a receptacle for long-silenced voices, their experiences wanting to be heard. The chamber appeared to pulse with each spoken secret, pulsing with the sorrow and suffering of those who had been before him. He could almost feel their presence as he strolled through the winding passageways, the weight of their experiences clinging to his very being. Their ghosts appeared to dance in the darkness, their ethereal shapes weaving a tapestry of longing and anguish. As he set out on a journey into the unknown, James's heart pounded in his chest, powered by equal parts dread and exhilaration. His resolve got greater with each discovery. The frightening specters of the past had selected him to be their vessel, a conduit through which their stories could be told. It was a burden he gladly bore, because he believed their stories could affect the course of history. James had no idea that the horrors he had witnessed were only the tip of the iceberg, a peep into the ugly underbelly of war. The second leg of his voyage would take him even deeper into the unknown, forcing him to confront the true nature of the darkness that had haunted him. It would put his bravery, rationality, and will to live to the test. But it was in the darkness that he found the strength to throw a light on the forgotten, to ensure that their terrible experiences were not in vain. Haunted by ghosts from the past, James could no longer keep the truth hidden within his own tortured mind. He confided in his colleagues, telling them of the lost people he had met within the falling ruins. They created an unbreakable relationship as they worked together to honor the departed and give voice to the silenced. In the days that followed, James and his unit regrouped and planned a sad memorial. They gathered not only surviving residents but also their fellow troops, establishing a sacred space to pay tribute to the lives shattered by the ravages of war. The memory of these long-forgotten souls burned within him, fueling his commitment to activism. He set out on a new purpose, sharing his narrative and battling diligently for his fellow soldiers' mental health. James became a beacon of hope, casting light on the shadows that persisted in the hearts and souls of those who had served. His haunted experience served as a strong reminder that the wounds of war extend well beyond the physical battlefield, and he stood as a tribute to the resiliency of the human spirit. James fostered a movement of compassion and understanding via his tireless pursuit. His story touched the hearts of many people, inspiring them to stand beside soldiers and offer support. He influenced good change by advocating for increased access to mental health resources and establishing a community of unity and healing. As a result, Sergeant James Anderson's journey, once haunted by the darkness of war, became a beacon of light and hope. His unflinching dedication reverberated through the corridors of history, reminding us of our shared responsibility to honor and assist those who have borne the great burdens of service. We hope that this story has touched your heart and given light on the unseen hardships of those who have served. Have you found this story interesting and thought-provoking? Please like and subscribe to our channel for more intriguing stories about the human experience.